Assalamu alaikum everyone. We have today once again, Monday night class with the iERA and Anatolia collaboration. And we have Dr. Mustafa with us who's been going with the 40 Hadiths with Nawat. We're almost at, I believe, 36 or 37, Sheikh, if we're correct? Or what number are we at?
Yes, 36.
So before we're at 36, and we have a few more going to come on, a few more classes. I think we have one more, I think, Sheikh, before Ramadan starts. One of the things we would like for all the attendees, one of the things we're looking into is, as Dr. Mustafa has been doing on classes for now at least a couple of years that I know of. So one of the things Dr. Mustafa was talking about, we're going to be doing another class after this, which will be the names and attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That will be the next book coming up. Inshallah, please stay tuned for all of the people that have kind of asked and signed up for it. We will be broadcasting all of that information when and where. More than likely it'll be the dates and all that will be sent to you in your email. So I would like to welcome you all to another night with Dr. Mustafa with the 40 Hadiths. At this time, I'm going to hand the mic over. And just one more thing before I hand the mic over. The last time we had answers and questions and we opened up the mics for everyone, unfortunately, it wasn't how we wanted it to turn out. So this time, we're going to have the questions and answers at the end. And I would like to request all of you, so if you have a question, there's two ways you can do about it. One, you can send it as a chat and we'll have it parked, and then we'll ask Dr. Mustafa to read them later. And then what we'll do is, the second part will be, if you want to ask a question, you literally raise your hand. There's a little icon to raise your hand. And then when the questions will be asked, we'll sort through which person is asking the question, and we'll open the mic for that one particular person. So the mics won't be open for everyone in general. So two things: if you have questions throughout the class, please type them up. We will answer them at the end. Second, if you have questions at the end that you didn't type up, you want them to be explained, then we will open up the mic at the end while you raise your hand, and we'll go one by one. So Jazakallah khair, all of you, for coming tonight to this webinar. And at this time, I would like Dr. Mustafa to take over the mic. Jazakallah khair.
Jazakallah khair, Ali. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala. Jazakallah khair, everyone, for joining us. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless you and protect you and your families in these challenging times. So basically, we're going to start with hadith number 36. And this is one of the most powerful and the most profound hadith in the 40 Nawawis. And it is very relevant to our times. I used this hadith just this Friday, and I focused the khutbah on this hadith because it is so powerful, very relevant to our lives. This is a very challenging time. Everyone is going through like a difficult time. They're trying to adjust and cope. Many of us are sitting at home. Some people are losing their jobs, they're getting laid off, and some people are closing down their businesses. And now you find yourself stuck at home with your family. This feeling of uncertainty, financial uncertainty, religious uncertainty. We don't know for a fact if we're going for Taraweeh this year, if Hajj will be cancelled, no Umrah. It's a very stressful time on many different levels. And as I said, people go through financial difficulties, spiritual difficulties, and religious difficulties, and on many different levels. So now what happens in these difficult times? Should we make things difficult or more difficult for each other, or should we make things easy for one another? And this is where this hadith comes in. So basically it's very relevant. It applies to our daily lives, especially in difficult times. If you look at the hadith, especially the first half of the hadith, they talk about your relationship with people around you. It talks about making things easy for people, especially in difficult times. And the second half of the hadith talks about your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, especially with seeking knowledge. So this is a hadith in Sahih Muslim. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu narrated that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Man nafasa an mu'minin kurbatan min kurabi dunya, nafasa Allahu anhu kurbatan min kurabi yawm al-qiyamah." So I'm going to go sentence by sentence, and hopefully, inshallah, we can finish 4 hadith today. So 3 will be left for next week's session, which will be the last in this series, inshallah ta'ala. So the Prophet ﷺ says, whoever relieves distress or hardship or a difficulty from a believer in this dunya, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will relieve them from a hardship or a difficulty when Yawm al-Qiyamah. As I say, all of us, we go through ups and downs in life, and we go through different challenges. Everyone is tested in a different way. Some people are tested in their health, some people are tested in their wealth, some people are tested in their family, and so on and so forth. So basically, we should be there for each other. And if you make things easy for people, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make things easy for you. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was asked, who are the most beloved people to Allah? Habbul ibadi ila Allah, the most beloved people to Allah. And this is in a targhib al-Mundhiri, it's an authentic hadith. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Habbul ibadi ila Allahi anfa'uhum. The most beloved people to Allah are those who are most beneficial to others. And Rasulullah ﷺ then said, and the best thing that you can do, the most beloved deed to Allah, is takshifu anhu kurba. If you remove a hardship from a believer, put food in their stomach and put a smile on their face. And this is what we call in the Arabic language jabr al-khatir. And jabr, as we know, comes from the name of Allah al-Jabbar, the one who comforts people in difficult times. So this is the meaning of al-Jabbar, and the word Jabbar comes from Jabara. If someone breaks their neck and they use a cast, this cast in Arabic is called Jabira because it comforts and it consoles and supports a broken bone. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to people who are going through a difficult time is like a cast to a broken bone. And this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala expects of us. In difficult times, we stand by people and we support them. We show them support. In Sahih Muslim, there is in a hadith Qudsi, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us that we will be accountable on Yawm al-Qiyamah for supporting people just like we will be accountable for Salah and Zakah and Hajj and so on and so forth. So Rasulullah said that Allah says, Abdi maridtu falam ta'udni. I feel sick and you never visited me. And the person will say, Ya Allah, how can you fall sick and how can I visit you? Wa anta rabbul alameen, you are the Lord of all the worlds. And Allah will say, don't you know that your brother or your sister feels sick and you could have visited them, but you never did. You never showed them the support they needed. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will say, Abdi, I was hungry and you never fed me. And the person will say, Ya Allah, how can I feed you? Anta rabbul alameen. And Allah will say, don't you know that your brother or sister, they were in need of food and you never gave them food? If you have visited them when they were sick, or if you have fed them when they were hungry, you would have found the reward with them. My reward will be with them, and so on and so forth. It's a longer hadith, but I just gave you the first part just to illustrate. So putting a smile on people's faces, standing by their side in difficult times is one of the best things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves the most. There are hadith in Bukhari and Muslim where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was asked, how can I help someone to get Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to love me and to get more hasanat? And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, if you help them financially, if you have the money, if someone can't pay their bills, they can't pay their rent, if someone is in debt, help them financially. If not, then help them physically. Give them groceries, carry the groceries to their house, cut their grass, shovel their snow, and so on and so forth. And if you cannot help them physically, financially, help them verbally. Say something nice to them. Put a smile on their face. Give them bushra, like good news. You know, and this is why I always wonder every time I go to Facebook and I see people posting the numbers of people who died minute by minute, the people who contracted coronavirus, and you don't expect everyone to have the same level of morale. And you know, so basically some people would be stressed out and some people would have panic attacks, and some people, you know, have some evil thoughts and so on and so forth. There's stress and anxiety because of these numbers. So we should give bushra, good news, and not stress people out, as Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said. The next sentence, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, وَمَنْ يَسَّرَ عَلَى مُعْسِرٍ يَسَّرَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ فِي الدُّنْيَا وَالْآخِرَةِ. If you make things easy for people, or going through a difficult time, Allah will make things easy for you on Yawm al-Qiyamah. There is a hadith في صحيح الجامع where Rasulullah ﷺ said that there was a man before your time, يعني he will be brought on يوم القيامة فيؤتى به وليس له من الحسنات خير قط, يعني he doesn't have any good deed إلا أنه كان يبايع الناس, he was a businessman, and basically وكان يعني يستدين الناس منه, people used to borrow money from him or they used to buy stuff from him and they owe him money, but sometimes they didn't have money to pay him and so on and so forth. Things were difficult for them, so he would tell his fityan, his assistants, تجاوزوا عنه, give them more time to pay, give them a discount. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will say on يوم القيامة نحن أحق بذلك منك تجاوزنا عنك. If you made things easy for people in dunya, we'll make things easy for you on يوم القيامة. And this one good deed is what will give that person Jannah on Yawm al-Qiyamah. And this will take us a little bit to talk about one concept. You never know what will give you Jannah on Yawm al-Qiyamah. It could be praying witr at night, 1 rak'ah. Or it could be reading Quran with tadabbur. It could be the sadaqah that you give to poor people. It could be putting a smile on your parents' face. It could be, I don't know, it could be anything. The 2 rak'ah that you pray for duha, or I don't know. It could be anything. Maybe it's a small thing that will give you Jannah. There's a hadith in Bukhari where there was a woman who used to clean the Masjid of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, كانت تقوم المسجد, and eventually Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam didn't see her for days. Can everybody hear me well? Okay, I guess so.
Yeah, we can hear. Sorry about that.
Yes. So basically, Rasulullah ﷺ didn't see her for a number of days, and he asked what happened to the woman who used to come and clean the masjid, taqum al-masjid. And the Sahaba said, Ya Rasulullah, she died at night, so we did janazah for her, we buried her, but we didn't want to disturb you late at night. So Rasulullah ﷺ said, from now on, if someone dies, let me know so I can pray janazah for them. So Allah will fill their grave with nur, with light. And this is Sahih Bukhari. In another narration in Abi Dawood, Rasulullah ﷺ went to her grave and he prayed janazah for her on the grave. And he asked her, Ayyul a'mali adkhalak al-jannah, which good deed gave you Jannah when you move to the next life? And she said, qimamatul masjid, cleaning the masjid, keeping the masjid clean. So basically, you never know which good deed will give you Jannah. Could be something very small, as long as it is consistent and sincere. Hopefully that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you Jannah through this. Then Rasulullah said, Wallahu fi وَمَنْ سَتَرَ مُسْلِمًا سَتَرَهُ اللَّهُ فِي الدُّنْيَا وَالْآخِرَةِ. If you cover a Muslim, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will cover you in this dunya and in akhirah. Needless to say, we all make mistakes day and night. We're human beings. We're not anbiya. We're not ma'soom. We make mistakes. So basically, if someone makes a mistake, you need to cover them, not expose them. Everyone makes mistakes, with the exception of anbiya, who are ma'soom, right? Ulama, like some of the biggest names. And I don't want you to shoot me, but every single alim made some mistakes, and they're basically giving us a proof that no one is perfect except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and except the anbiya. Imam Shafi'i, Imam Malik, Imam Abu Hanifa, all these big scholars, they made fiqh mistakes. Very few, but 99.99% of their fatwas are good, they are valid, but sometimes they make some terrible mistakes just to give us a proof that they are not perfect, right? And so on and so forth. Maybe some other time I can share some examples with you. Some of those big scholars, big names, they go against the opinion of the greatest scholars, ijma', and against the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, most likely because they didn't hear the hadith and so on and so forth. So they made their own ijtihad, and sometimes they make big mistakes. We make mistakes all the time. I remember one of the imams, he was giving khutbah at Jum'ah, and he was talking about the story of Musa and Fir'aun, and every time he mentioned Musa alayhi salam, he said alayhi salam, alayhi salam, alayhi salam. Then he mentioned Fir'aun and he said, alayhi salam. And people fought with him after Salah. You know, he made a mistake. It's, you know, this is the norm. People make mistakes all the time. So there are so many examples. There's no need to talk about this forever. So the fact is we make mistakes. So we are expected as Muslims to cover each other and to forgive each other. A man came to the Prophet ﷺ, and this is in Bukhari, and he said, Ya Rasulullah, I saw one of the Sahaba doing something terrible and this and that. And Rasulullah ﷺ told him, why are you telling me? Why didn't you cover him with your clothes? Why do you keep telling me? Because if you tell me, now I'm going to have something in my heart against this person. You shouldn't have told me. You should have spoken to this person directly, giving them nasiha and so on and so forth. Especially, يعني إذا لم يكن مجاهرا. This person made something wrong by mistake, or even if they did it intentionally, but they are hiding in themselves. They're trying to cover themselves, and for whatever reason, you know, you found out, you shouldn't expose them, and so on and so forth. You should cover them. But let's say there's someone who is a thief, someone is a drug dealer, everybody knows about him, he's proud of it, he's posting about it on Facebook, then this is a different story. But the point is, everybody makes mistake. So basically, we should cover each other, and we should think well of each other. Thinking highly of people. If you see someone doing something wrong, think highly of them. So give them the benefit of the doubt. There's a hadith, a story, Talha radiallahu anhu, one of the great Sahaba. He said he was walking one night, and in the darkness of night, he saw Umar radiallahu anhu walking, and Umar entered the house. So basically, Talha said, okay, like, what's wrong with Umar? Why is he going to this house at night? So basically, Talha went in the morning, and he knocked on the door. So basically, there was a woman. She opened the door, and he asked her, why is Umar, why is this man coming to you at night, like after Maghrib or so? Why is he coming to your house? And she said, as you can see, I'm an old woman, I'm blind, and this man who comes to my house, he cleans the house for me, and he gives me food, and he leaves, right? So Talha started to blame himself, and he said, how can you think evil of Umar? Umar is above all of these evil thoughts. So we should think highly of our brothers and sisters. Then Rasulullah said, Wallahu fi awni al-abdi ma kana al-abdu fi awni akhi. That as long as you are in the service, in the support of your brother or sister, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will always be supporting you. This support, as I said, could be financial, it could be physical, like helping them with their stuff. It could be by telling them something that will put a smile on their face. It could be amr bil ma'ruf nahy anil munkar, correcting them in a good way, and so on and so forth. It could be shafa'ah with your tongue, like a brother who is qualified, is looking for a job. You go in, you do shafa'ah for them. You talk to the boss, the employer, and tell them this is a good person, this is qualified. I vouch for them. Please hire them. They need the job. They're good. He's a good person. Or if this person is proposing to someone in marriage, and you know that if you talk to the family of the girl, for example, it will make a big difference for them, and they will trust this person if they don't know him. As long as the person is qualified, this is called shafa'ah. And Rasulullah in the hadith, في الترغيب والترهيب, it's an authentic hadith. Rasulullah said, لأن أمشي مع أخي في حاجة له خير من أن أعتكف شهرا في مسجدي هذا. If I walk with my brother to help him achieve something, this is better than me doing i'tikaf at the Masjid in Medina for a month. So basically helping people, putting a smile on their face and supporting them will guarantee the support of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then Rasulullah said, وَمَنْ سَلَكَ طَرِيقًا يَلْتَمِسُ فِيهِ عِلْمًا سَهَّلَ اللَّهُ لَهُ بِهِ طَرِيقًا إِلَى الْجَنَّةِ. If you seek a path to gain knowledge, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make a path to Jannah easy for you. And the reason is because through knowledge, you're able to know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. فَعْلَمْ أَنَّهُ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا اللَّهِ. The most important thing that everyone should know is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, His names and His attributes, how to worship Him, how to follow the example of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, halal and haram. This is what they call the fard knowledge that every Muslim should have, regardless of the level of their education. So this is the fard knowledge everyone should have. But if you want to be a doctor, if you want to be an accountant, this is mubah knowledge, permissible knowledge. It's up to you. But how to worship Allah, how to know Him, and how to pray, follow the example of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, halal and haram. This is the fard knowledge that everyone should have. And as I always say, this knowledge has something to do with the 3 questions we get in a grave. So when someone dies, they usually get 3 questions. The first question, who is your Lord? Second one, who is your prophet? Number 3, what's your faith? So basically, these 3 questions are reflected in the type of knowledge, the fard knowledge, the obligatory knowledge that everyone should have. You cannot worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through ignorance. We should learn about Him, how to worship Him, His names and attributes, and so on. Because if someone is ignorant, how can they worship Allah and how can they come closer to Him? They have to have a knowledge. And this is why Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, it's very important for people to seek knowledge, and this is fard on every man and every woman. Then Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, وَمَا اجْتَمَعَ قَوْمٌ فِي بَيْتٍ مِّن بُيُوتِ اللَّهِ يَتْلُونَ كِتَابَ اللَّهِ وَيَتَدَارَسُونَهُ بَيْنَهُمْ إِلَّا نَزَلَتْ عَلَيْهِمُ السَّكِينَةُ. If a group of people come together in the house of Allah, now the masajid are closed, you can do the same thing at your house. Sit with your family, and so on and so forth. Or even if you're doing it like through Zoom or like through online platforms, inshallah, hopefully you'll get the same reward, because this is the best we can do. Now you're studying in the book of Allah, as mentioned in the hadith. This could be reading Quran, tajweed, it could be tafsir, it could be rulings or hadith that explain ayat in the Quran, and by extension, any knowledge that can serve Quran and Sunnah to help you become a better Muslim. Then Rasulullah ﷺ said, إِلَّا نَزَلَتْ عَلَيْهِمُ السَّكِينَةُ. Tranquility, a sense of peace and tranquility will descend upon them. Why? Because you have this direct connection, ma'iyah, with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So now imagine if you're walking down a path by night by yourself, maybe you would have some fear, especially when you're young. But you know that your older brother, your parents, or someone strong is walking with you, you would have this confidence that someone got your back. Now when you're connected with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through ibadah or through studying, you know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala got your back and you have His support. وَغَشِيَتْهُمُ الرَّحْمَةُ. And mercy will descend upon them, and the malaika will surround them. وَذَكَرَهُمُ اللَّهُ فِي مَنْ عِنْدَهُ. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will mention them in the heavenly host, meaning the malaika, and so on and so forth. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will mention them. And by this, of course, this means that if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions someone, which is mentioned in this hadith, or in the hadith that says, يُبَاهِي بِهِمُ اللَّهُ مَلَائِكَتَهُ, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will, be proud of them. Or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is a better translation, is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will speak highly of them in front of the malaika. This is the correct translation. So basically, or يَنْظُرُ اللَّهُ إِلَيْهِمْ, Allah will look at them with mercy. All of this, هُوَ الَّذِي يُصَلِّي عَلَيْكُمْ وَمَلَائِكَتُهُ. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes salah on you, it means He showers His blessings on you. So any of these meanings refer to Allah's rahmah and forgiveness and mercy. وَمَنْ بَطَّأَ بِهِ عَمَلُهُ لَمْ يُسْرِعْ بِهِ نَسَبُهُ. So basically, if your deeds slow you down, then your lineage, your family, will not help you on Yawm al-Qiyamah. Which basically means everyone is responsible, everyone is accountable for their good deeds, their actions. Their family, their lineage will not help them that much on Yawm al-Qiyamah. And this is why it's mentioned in a hadith where Rasulullah ﷺ would tell Al-Abbas, his uncle, and Safiya, his aunt, اعملوا فإني لا أغني عنكم من الله شيئا. Do work hard. And he would tell them, Fatima and the rest of the Ahlul Bayt, يعني لا ألفين الناس يأتون يوم القيامة بصلاة وصيام وتأتون بنسبكم لرسول الله. I don't want, he's telling them, I don't want you to come on Yawm al-Qiyamah, and the only thing that you have on Yawm al-Qiyamah is your relationship with me, and other people come with salah, sadaqah, zakah, and so on and so forth, because I cannot benefit you in any way. And this is a proof, because many people who claim to be Sayyids, they claim to be descendants of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Yes, there are descendants of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam through Al-Hassan, Al-Hussein, and so on and so forth, and Fatima radiallahu anha, and so on and so forth. But there are millions of people throughout the world, in every country, including some presidents. Like, there are rumors in every Muslim country that the royal family or this president or this sultan, they're all descendants from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which can't be true, and so on and so forth. So basically, people think like, since I'm a Sayyid, I'm good, that's it for me, and so on and so forth. So basically, this will not help anyone in the least, because all of us, myself, Ali, Omar, everyone who is watching now, you are related to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam through your faith. And this is mentioned on the first page of Surah Ahzab. النبي أولى بالمؤمنين من أنفسهم وأزواجه أمهاتهم. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is closer to us than any other bond or relationship. And the wives of the Prophet ﷺ are our mothers. So we are related to the Prophet ﷺ. And it's very common in the Quran to refer to the followers of prophets as Alu Musa, Alu Nuh, Alu Salih, كذا. فَنَجَّيْنَاهُ وَأَهْلَهُ. If it refers to Ahl or Al in the Quran, it refers to the believers. And this could include anyone, even if they are not directly related to that particular prophet. So we are related to prophets through our good deeds, through our iman, and so on and so forth. And this is what matters at the end of the day. We can move to the next hadith, inshallah. And as we agreed, we'll have the questions at the end. So it's a very powerful hadith. And as I said at the beginning of this series, yes, it's good to listen to these hadith and to listen to ayat in the Quran and the stories of Yusuf and all the prophets in the Quran. And the point is not to entertain you guys. The point is to turn these ayat and hadith into action. So basically, now you listen to this hadith about putting a smile on people's faces and helping them and taking care of them. Then you need to apply this in order for you to get the full benefit of this knowledge and this hadith. The next hadith is narrated through Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma, and the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam قال إن الله تعالى كتب الحسنات والسيئات. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has written the good and the bad, good deeds and bad deeds. ثم بين ذلك. So now what is written? Allah كتب الحسنات والسيئات, meaning through the angels. So basically Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will have the angels write the good and the bad. And this is mentioned in the Quran, إِنَّا كُنَّا نَسْتَنْسِخُ مَا كُنْتُمْ تَعْمَلُونَ. We used to have whatever you did written, which means by the angels. نَسْتَنْسِخُ means we had someone write down what you did. And the ulama say that since Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has written the good deeds like salah, siyam, sadaqah, all these things, and the bad deeds are written, lying, cheating, theft, and so on and so forth, this means that mubahat are not written. Mubahat, for example, if you watch a hockey game, as long as you don't waste your salah just to watch a game. If you talk about the weather, if you talk about biryani, mansaf, like these things will not be written because they are permissible. If you talk about the weather, so basically all of this is not written because it's permissible. What is written is halal and haram, the things that you will be accountable for on Yawm al-Qiyam. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bayyana dhalika, He clarified the concept of hasanat and sayyat. فَمَنْ هَمَّ بِحَسَنَةٍ فَلَمْ يَعْمَلْهَا كَتَبَهَا اللَّهُ عِنْدَهُ حَسَنَةً كَامِلَةً. If you intend to do something good, but you couldn't do or you didn't do, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will write it down as a complete good deed for you. So let's say you wanted to give sadaqah, you wanted to stand up at salah at night, but for whatever reason you were tired, you didn't have the money, you couldn't do it, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you the reward for your good intention. And if someone has the intention and they turn this into a good deed, they actually do it, like they want to give sadaqah and do something, salah, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give them 10 rewards, من جاء بالحسنات فله عشر أمثالها, which is mentioned at the end of Surah An'am. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you for every good deed 10 hasanat, and this can be multiplied to 700, and Allah gives more. And the famous hadith about the market, where Rasulullah ﷺ said, if you go to the market and you say, La ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lah, you can look up the hadith, the dua, the dhikr that you saw when you go to the market, the store, and you say, Rasulullah ﷺ said, if you say this hadith, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you 1,000 hasanat, which means 1,000,000. So basically it's 1,000 multiplied by 1,000. And Allah will bring down your sayyat 1,000 by 1,000, which means 1,000,000 hasanat will be removed, and Allah will raise you 1,000 by 1,000 in rank in Jannah. And this is in a Sahih al-Jami' al-Albani. So basically it's an authentic hadith. So there's no limit on how much or how many fold the reward can be multiplied. It depends on so many things, like your sincerity and so on and so forth. Then Rasulullah said, and of course the ayah in Surah Baqarah, if you give sadaqah, it's like a grain. This grain gives, produces 7 sprouts. Each of them has 100 grains, so it's 700 and so on and so forth. Wallahu yudha'ifu liman yasha. Allah multiplies for whoever He wants. And if someone intends to do something bad, but they don't do it, then they will get the reward. And of course, the ulama say you didn't do it because you remembered Allah. If you remember Allah and you stop, then you will get the reward. But let's say someone is going to rob the bank and their car breaks down. Or if they wanted to kill someone, but for whatever reason, they pulled the trigger, but the bullet didn't come out. Or if they intended to kill someone, but they couldn't kill that person. And of course, the famous hadith, إِذَا الْتَقَى الْمُسْلِمَانِ بِسَيْفَيْهِمَا فَالْقَاتِلُ الْمَقْتُولُ فِي النَّارِ. The Prophet ﷺ said, if 2 believers meet in battle, then the killer and the killed will go to Jahannam. And the Sahaba said, Ya Rasulullah, we know the killer will go to Jahannam, but what about the one who is killed? And Rasulullah ﷺ said, إِنَّهُ كَانَ حَرِيصٌ عَلَى قَتْلِ صَاحِبِهِ. He was keen on killing his brother, and he would have killed him if he had the ability, right? So basically, they intended to do something evil, but for whatever reason, they couldn't do it, right? So basically, in this case, it's a sin. Allah will write it down as a sin. But let's say someone intended to do something evil, last minute they stop, they remember Allah or something, then inshallah it is written down for them as a complete hasana. And if someone intends to do something bad but they stop, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will write it down. Now what we get from this hadith, and this is like my own tadabbur when I read this hadith, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to give us Jannah. He makes it super easy for us to go to Jannah, and He makes it so difficult for us to go to Jahannam. So now when you come on Yawm al-Qiyamah, you look at your good deeds. So basically, let's say if you find 10 good deeds, and you find 1 sin, which eventually will give you Jannah because you have 10 good deeds, 1 sin. This means that you did 1 good deed and 1 bad deed. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, out of His mercy, is giving you 10 rewards for the 1 good deed and just 1 sin for the bad deed that you did. And now you can see that Allah is trying to help us. He's pushing us to go to Jannah. And eventually, if someone goes to Jahannam at the end, وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ ta'ala, it means that their evil deeds outnumber their good deeds at least tenfold for them to end up in Jahannam. It means they have done so much evil deeds, and so on and so forth. And this hadith is, of course, in Bukhari and Muslim. We'll move to the next one, inshallah, so we can finish by 9:30 and open the floor for questions and answers. So basically, this hadith through Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, which is in al-Bukhari, and Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Man aadha li waliyan, man aada li waliyan, faqad aadantuhu bil harb." If someone shows enmity to our wali, and the word wali is one of those words that are very difficult to translate because they don't have an equivalent in English, but you can say a close, true, intimate friend, loyal friend of Allah, or a dedicated servant of Allah. This is the closest we can come to. Whoever shows enmity to a wali of Allah, then I have declared war against the person. Adhantuhu, it means I have declared war on the person. Adhana in the Arabic language comes from adhan, ثم أذن مؤذن, or adhan for salah. It means to declare and to make it public. So basically, who are the awliyaullah? Because back home we hear about this wali, some people, there are moderate Sufis and you have extreme Sufis, right? So basically there is always the right way to do things and there's the wrong way to do things. So basically claim they are wali, they have reached this point of wilaya where they don't need to pray and so on and so forth. They have a good heart and so on and so forth. So basically they don't pray. So basically awliyaullah are people who are connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Their description is given in the Quran, and I'm going to share this with you in a minute. So basically awliyaullah, they don't go around saying that we are awliyaullah. They don't post on Facebook about their connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Awliyaullah could be like very normal people. It could be like a truck driver, it could be like anyone, like a housewife, it could be a farmer, anyone. And they have this connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One of them is mentioned in the hadith where Rasulullah said, a delegation from Yemen will come to you. And in this delegation, there will be a man whose name is Uwais al-Qarni. And this man is very good to his mother. He's very kind to his mother. And if you are able to get him to make dua for you, ask him to make dua for you. So the Sahaba were looking forward to this man to come. This man, inshallah, he was wali, bi'idhnillah, based on the description given by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It is trusted that he was one of those people. So basically, at the time of Umar radiallahu anhu, this man didn't show up. At the time of Rasulullah, he didn't show up. And so basically, he is counted as tabi'i because he didn't see Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Then this man came at the time of Umar radiallahu anhu, and the way Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam described him, his physical appearance, then Umar would ask every time a delegation would come, and eventually he came across this man, Uwais al-Qarni, and Umar recognized him, and he made dua. He asked him to make dua for him, and he said, is there anything that I can do for you to honor you? And the man said, no, I would like to be just like normal people. Don't tell anyone about me. I just want to keep this between me and Allah, and so on and so forth. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes awliya in Surah Yunus, أَلَا إِنَّ أَوْلِيَاءَ اللَّهِ لَا خَوْفٌ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا هُمْ يَحْزَنُونَ. Indeed, the awliyaullah, the loyal, true, dedicated servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there's no fear for them on Yawm al-Qiyamah, and they will not grieve. الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَكَانُوا يَتَّقُونَ. So this is the description given. They are the people who have profound faith and they have pure taqwa for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's all it takes. So لَهُمُ الْبُشْرَى فِي الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا وَالْآخِرَةِ. Allah gives them good news in this life and in the next life. Then Rasulullah said, and this is Hadith Qudsi, وَمَا تَقَرَّبَ إِلَيَّ عَبْدِي بِشَيْءٍ أَحَبُّ إِلَيَّ مِمَّا افْتَرَضْتُهُ عَلَيْهِ. He can never come closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with anything better than what Allah has already made fard on you, which basically means salah, siyam, zakat, and hajj, and so on and so forth. So basically, some people I have seen, subhanallah, like they make up some rituals, so they don't pray their namaz, their 5 daily prayers, they just sit and say Allah, 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 so on and so forth. They come up with certain rituals they do, even though they don't do the 5 daily arkanul Islam and so on and so forth, and they say this is our way of coming close to Allah. Well, no one has come close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala more than the Prophet ﷺ and the Anbiya, and Rasulullah ﷺ told us very clearly, you can never get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with anything better than what He has already made fard on you, like salah and so on and so forth. And He told us the closest you can get to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is through sajda. Then Rasulullah said that Allah said, if you want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to love you, وَلَا يَزَالُ عَبْدِي يَتَقَرَّبُ إِلَيَّ بِالنَّوَافِلِ. The more extra ibadat that you do, the more that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will love you. The more nawafil, the extra prayers, fasting, and so on and so forth, sadaqah. So basically, the more you do, the more beloved to Allah you will be, because this is a sign of sincerity. when you do the 5, the salah, zakah, siyam, and so on and so forth, you have to do it. This is the minimum you can do. But if you take it to the next level and you do the extra ibadat, it means that you're really sincere, that you really are doing your best to come closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And in another hadith, in Allah ta'ala إِذَا حَبَّ عَبْدًا نَادَى, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves someone, He will call to the angels and tell them, I love this person, so love him. And the malaika will call out to people that Allah loves this person, so love him. And this is why, subhanAllah, this explains why you meet some people for the first time, and you know someone and you love them so much, you don't know why. It is because of this love. إِنَّ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ سَيَجْعَلُ لَهُمُ الرَّحْمَنُ وُدًّا. At the end of Surah Maryam, the believers, those who try to come closer to Allah and they are sincere, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will put their love, their wud, their love in the hearts of other believers. And this is why you love certain people, certain ulama and certain people around you, because of this love that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts in your heart towards them. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in this hadith Qudsi, and once I love this person, فَإِذَا أَحْبَبْتُهُ كُنْتُ سَمْعَهُ الَّذِي يَسْمَعُ بِهِ, I become their sight, their hearing, with which they hear, and their sight with which they see, and their hand which they function with. And this basically means the ulama have different opinion as to what this hadith means and so on and so forth, but the closest meaning, the most acceptable meaning is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will guide you to do what is pleasing to Him. As if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is putting your barakah, He is putting nur or insight in your hearing and in your eye and in your hand, in your actions. So basically Allah will guide your steps and He will guide you to do what is pleasing to Him, and He will put ikhlas and He will put barakah in your actions. And this is the meaning of Allah becoming your hearing, your sight, and your hand. This is the meaning in this case. It's understood metaphorically, of course. And He will become your foot with which you walk, which means He will guide your steps to what is pleasing to Him, and He will give you ikhlas and tawfiq and so on and so forth. And if this person asks me, I will give them. If they pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I will answer their dua. And if they ask for my protection, I will give it to them. We know that some people, their dua was accepted. They had this wilayah. And some of the Sahaba, they were awliyaullah. And this is our belief, that the Sahaba, like al-Ashr al-Mubashirin bil-Jannah wa Alul Bayt, they are among those awliya. We don't raise them to the level of Anbiya, they are below. And they're just human beings like me and you, but they have a higher connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but they're not ma'soom, and so on and so forth. So one of them is Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas radiallahu anhu, that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam made dua for him, and he told him, if you eat from halal, if you purify your income, you eat from halal, then Allah will never reject your dua. So basically, Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas, whenever he made dua, there are so many stories, there's no time to go through them. Whenever he made dua, Allah accepted his dua. In one particular case, he was the governor of Kufa in Iraq, and Umar radiallahu anhu, he appointed him there. And Umar would ask the people, what do you think of your governor? He would ask the people of different governors, what do you think of your governor? And he would send someone to Kufa or to the city and ask the people, what do you think of this person, how he's doing with you, and so on and so forth. So one person stood up in the masjid and he told the person who was sent by Umar to investigate, and he told him, since you asked, Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas is not just, he's not fair, and لا يمشي في السوية ولا يكرم في العطية, he's not generous with us, he's not good, he's not fair, and so on and so forth. When this word reached Sa'd radiallahu anhu, he made dua against this man because he felt like this man was extremely unfair to him. And he said, if what you said is wrong, then I make dua against you, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you a long life, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will take your eyesight, and Allah will cause you to die in poverty. And the narrator of the hadith, he said, this is precisely what happened to this man. He lived a long life, he became blind, and he became very poor and miserable because of the dua of Sa'd radiallahu anhu. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us among the awliyaullah, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide our steps and our actions, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us among those awliya whose dua is accepted. Now we'll move to the next hadith and the last one for today, inshallah. We should be done in about 5 minutes. And this hadith is about making mistakes and so on and so forth. It's hadith number 39, narrated by Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma, and it's in Ibn Majah and al-Bayhaqi. So basically, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as mentioned in this hadith by Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, إن الله تعالى تجاوز لأمتي عن الخطأ والنسيان وما استكرهوا عليه. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has forgiven or overlooked whatever my ummah has done by mistake, or if they forget, or if they are forced. And as I said at the beginning, we always make mistakes. So let's say sometimes you wake up, you have breakfast, you go to work, and subhanAllah, when you're at work, you realize that for whatever reason, you forgot to pray Salatul Fajr. You forgot to give zakah. Sometimes we forget to do certain things. So basically, or we'll do something by mistake. So let's say you are praying salah, let's say Salatul Dhuhr, and because you're going through a stressful time, you pray Dhuhr 7 rak'ahs, or you pray Dhuhr 3 rak'ahs. If you remember, you will make sajda sahwan, and so on and so forth. There are different cases. But let's say you made a mistake in salah and you didn't even remember. So you actually forgot that you forgot. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is willing to forgive you because this is not the normal you. This is not the way you do things. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is willing to forgive you. And subhanAllah, eventually at the end of the day, and I love this ayah so much, it's in Surah Nisa, مَا يَفْعَلُ اللَّهُ بِعَذَابِكُمْ إِن شَكَرْتُمْ وَآمَنْتُمْ. Why would Allah punish you if you are faithful and grateful? That's all it takes, to have faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to show gratitude. And as I said today in the Anatolia halaqa, the only thing that shaitan wants from you to destroy your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not to show gratitude. In Surah 7, ayah number 17, shaitan is giving us the secret weapon, how he destroys our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He says, ثُمَّ لَآتِيَنَّهُم مِّن بَيْنَ أَيْدِيهِمْ وَمِنْ خَلْفِهِمْ وَعَنْ أَيْمَانِهِمْ وَعَنْ شَمَائِلِهِمْ وَلَا تَجِدُ أَكْثَرَهُمْ شَاكِرِينَ. I will come to them from every direction with the goal of making them ungrateful to you. So that's all that shaitan wants from you, not to show gratitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the Prophet ﷺ said that Allah said, Allah has already forgiven you if you make a mistake. If you forget, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is willing to forgive you. And as I said, we make mistakes all the time, and sometimes we forget. And if you make a mistake and you don't realize that you made a mistake, like you prayed Dhuhr 3 rak'ahs, you didn't know, then Allah will forgive you. But if you forget, as soon as you remember, you have to make up for the mistake. So basically, let's say you realize that you didn't pray Salatul Asr, you were busy, it's winter time, the time is very close, you were stuck on the highway, you came home, you were hungry, then you forgot that you prayed Salatul Asr, it's already Maghrib time. Then Rasulullah said, as soon as you remember, you have to pray your Salah. This is if you forget. If it's a mistake, then inshallah you don't need to do anything. And the popular example is, for example, if you eat or drink by mistake in the month of Ramadan during the day, then Rasulullah said in the authentic hadith, fi Sahih al-Jami', that you don't need to do anything. You just move on with your fasting. Allah has given you to eat and drink. Just continue your fast, and your fasting is valid. And whatever you're forced to do against your own will, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not hold you accountable. So let's say if someone forced you to say that you are kafir in Islam, and they put a gun on your head, and they're willing to shoot you, then in this case you can say, oh, khalas, you say it. And of course everyone knows the hadith of Ammar ibn Yasir, where the people of Mecca, they killed his mother, they killed his father, and they tortured Ammar, and they said, if you want to save your life, say that insult Muhammad ﷺ and insult Islam. And this is what he did. And he came crying to the Prophet ﷺ. And Rasulullah said, okay, you said it, but how do you feel in your heart? And he said, my heart is full of Iman. And Rasulullah ﷺ said, this is what matters. وَإِنْ عَادُوا فَعُدْ. If they do the same thing to you, if they force you again, just obey them just to save your life. So basically, if someone is forced to eat pork, if someone, whatever it is, then to save their life, they should do it. However, there are some cases where a person should not listen. So let's say in some countries back home, so basically they tell you, if you don't go and kill this alim or this scholar or this innocent person, we'll kill you. So most of the ulama say you are not allowed to kill the person because you're taking a human soul. Even if they threaten to kill you, don't do it, right? Again, it's a very difficult situation. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala not to put anyone in this position to be forced to do something against their will or to harm another human being. But again, these things happen, and this hadith is very important because it talks about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's forgiveness if we make a mistake or if we forget, if we are forced to do something. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive our sins and accept our good deeds and give us sincerity in everything we say and do. So now the 4 hadith are explained, inshallah ta'ala. Now we'll open the floor for some questions, inshallah. So if someone has a question, they can raise their hands, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. Jazakumullah khair.
So Sheikh, before we go into the questions, if you look at your phone, there's one question that was posed by Brother Nabil Mansouri, and we can answer that one first because he asked in the middle of it as a chat. And then for the rest of the attendees, if you have a question, please raise your hand. And then what we'll do is when you raise your hand, we'll answer your question, inshallah. So if you have a question, please raise your hand. There's a little icon. It looks like a hand. You raise that, and that's how we will open your mic only one by one, inshallah.
Okay, basically, so the hadith is about, shaitan and waswas, and this is one case, and the other case would be the false feeling that shaitan gives someone, the false confidence that someone gives us. So basically, to answer this question, you know yourself better than anyone else. So I understand that shaitan will come to all of us and he will do waswas. He will ask us questions about Allah, and he will ask us questions about your sincerity. You're wasting your time when you pray. You're showing off. Your salah is not good enough. You do haram things and now you're coming to pray, you're munafiq, and so on and so forth. Shaitan is playing these tricks with you. So basically, don't listen to shaitan. If shaitan tells you, the ulama always talk about al-khawf wa raja, to understand your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and this explains the concept of where shaitan comes in. Your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala should be based on khawf wa raja. Raja, that Allah will accept you and He will forgive the bad and He will accept the good and give you the reward. And the fear that you're not doing enough, that your intention is not good, that you are making mistakes, which will motivate you to do better, to do more, and to purify your intention. So basically, this is the proper relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But if shaitan is giving you this false confidence that you're not keeping your 5 daily namaz, you don't give your zakah, you don't fast properly, and shaitan makes you feel like awliyaullah, he's telling you relax, everyone, he's making you compare yourself to people who are worse than you. He's telling you, look at these people, they're thieves, they are this, they're that. You pray 2 times a day, you don't pray 5 times a day, you just pray 2. There are some people who don't pray at all. You smoke weed. I know people who drink alcohol. He's always giving you this false confidence by comparing you with people who are worse than you. And it doesn't work this way with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So basically, this is the measuring stick. that you should measure your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala if it's between khawf wa raja, the fear that you're not doing enough, your niyyah is not good, and so on and so forth, and the fear that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not accept from you, which will motivate you to improve and do more and purify your niyyah. And Imam Ibn al-Qayyim said, how do you know that it's a good feeling? If it motivates you to do better every time. But if it motivates you to relax and not to do your best and not to keep up your ibadah, purify your intention, then this is just amal, it's empty hope. And he said this is not good. It's not a healthy relationship with Allah, and shaitan is playing games with you. So these are the 2 points that we should always pay attention to: al-khawfi wal-raja. Wallahu ta'ala a'la wa a'lam. Next question.
Yeah, Ustad, Sheikh, one more person sent the question. It's in your WhatsApp, if you can just take a look.
Yes. So basically the name of Allah that I mentioned at the beginning, that has something to do with putting a smile on people's faces and making their life easy and supporting them, it has something to do with the name of Al-Jabbar, the name of Allah Al-Jabbar, the one who comforts, who supports those who are going through a difficult time. This is one of the meanings of the name Al-Jabbar. It has some other meanings and shades of meanings, but this is one of the most popular meanings of this name. And inshallah, when we start the series of the names of Allah, we're going to cover those names, including the name Al-Jabbar. Jazakallah khair. Another question, inshallah?
Yes, we have Muhammad Mughal, who has a question. Sheikh, I'm going to open his mic and unmute him.
Assalamu alaikum, brother Muhammad.
I've unmuted him.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam, brother Muhammad. How are you doing?
I'm mute, so I was just.
Good, alhamdulillah.
So well, I don't have the question, but I just wondering, like, this program is so nice, and I was interested that I can watch and so listen this program with my family, but unfortunately this program I only can attend through my cell phone. So I was wondering, isn't there any way that this program can be set up through different channels that we can watch on TV or some other ways that the whole entire family can join?
I think it's recorded, brother Ali.
Yes, the Sheikh is recorded. So what we're going to do is we're going to put last week's class and this week's class on our iERA Canada YouTube channel. We'll have it posted up there. Inshallah, you can review it. Unfortunately, you won't be able to ask questions. That's the only, it won't be interactive. So it's a one way for your family. They'll just be able to listen to it, inshallah.
Okay, Jazakallah. Thank you.
Barakallah feek. So we can take one last question, inshallah ta'ala. Do you have any other questions?
Again, if you have any questions, please raise your hand and we'll unmute you.
Yeah. So the 3 hadith for next week will be short, inshallah. So we'll open the floor for more questions, inshallah. If someone can think of a question now, we'll give you a week, inshallah, to think and come up with questions next time, inshallah ta'ala. Any other questions? I don't see any. So we can conclude with the dua, inshallah, and if Ali has some announcements.
So one brother asked for a question. What is the next week's class? Just to answer his question quickly, we're going to continue we're going to do the finalization of the 40 hadiths, number one. We're going through this whole session, and that will be the next week's class for the brother that asked the question.
Yes, so next week, inshallah, we'll do hadith number 40, 41, 42, and this will conclude the 40 Nawawi hadith, inshallah ta'ala.
Yeah, we have one more question from brother Noor. I'm just gonna open the mic.
Inshallah.
Go ahead, brother Noor. You can ask the question. Brother Noor, your mic is open. You can ask the question. Noor.
Oh, sorry about that. It's Sister Noor.
Oh, sister Noor. I apologize. Sorry.
No, that's
Sorry,
okay.
sister.
Assalamu alaikum. I just had a question. For the month of Ramadan, do you plan on going through the whole Quran and with meaning by any chance?
It's gonna be very difficult to cover the whole Quran in Ramadan in classes. So basically, what we can do, we'll cover some of the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we'll cite the relevant ayat and hadith, inshallah.
Okay, inshallah. Thank you. Jazakallah.
Jazakallah.
We unfortunately we have a brother in our team. His name is Noor. That's why I thought it was a brother. I apologize. Please forgive me.
No worries.
Jazakallah. And the good news, alhamdulillah, if you want to get an overview of the whole Quran, there's a new app of my translation. The Clear Quran has been released. So basically, if you go there, every surah is summed up very briefly with the main ideas, connecting this surah with the one before and the one after. So if you just go to our website, theclearquran.org, and download the free, scroll down and download the free app from iOS or Android, and you can get an overview of all the surahs of the Quran, inshallah. It's free.
Okay, Jazakallah.
It's called theclearquran.org. This is the website.
Perfect. Thank you.
Jazakallah khair.
Okay, Jazakallah khair. If there's no more questions, we'll conclude for this week's class.
inshallah. ربنا لا تؤاخذنا إن نسينا وأخطأنا ربنا ولا تحمل علينا إصرا كما حملته على الذين من قبلنا ربنا ولا تحملنا ما لا طاقة لنا به واعف عنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless everyone and their families and to protect everyone. Inshallah. Ameen. Ameen ya Rabbal Alameen. Whatever good I said is from Allah and His Prophet. Any mistakes I made are from me, Iblis, and Google. With that, I move it to Ali. Jazakallah khair.
Jazakallah khair, all of you. And again, please stay tuned. Keep supporting iERA and Anatolia, obviously, especially with Anatolia being, locked down and with all of this stuff. Please go to the website. I know they're looking for some donation. All of the Masjid, it doesn't have to be Anatolia. Any of the Muslim organizations right now, as you know, with no Jummahs and stuff like that, try to promote and support your local Muslim organizations, whichever they are, whether it's Anatolia, whether it's iERA, whether it's whoever they are. So please keep supporting them. And this is a difficult time for everyone, and we'll accept it from all of you. And please let us know, whether it's through email. You got an email from this webinar. If you have any questions, you can do that. If not, go to Facebook, iERA Canada, and you can literally private message us there. You can go to the YouTube channel. You can see some of the videos that we're putting up in the last couple of weeks. And you want to put some comments there, we can read the comments. So just continue, letting us know what you want, what's going on. As we all know, that iERA is a grassroots dawah organization that is based out of UK. We've been here since 2011, and we're working with the, giving dawah to the non-Muslims, supporting the Muslim community with the youth and universities, colleges, and different people that are having issues and contentions about Islam. And then we're working with the new Muslim to integrate them. We have a new Muslim team, which is, getting them to come understand Islam, teach them how to pray Salah, and helping them with their. We have some, and different things like that. So there's a lot of stuff happening in iERA, which if you want to be part of it, please get a hold of us. Many different ways to get a hold of us. You can get a hold of us through iERA Canada Facebook. You can get a hold of us that way. Probably be the quickest. Just send us a quick message. One other thing, just quick information for all of you. We're doing a campaign globally. It's called a viral
Awakening.
a viral awakening, which is almost 50 du'ats from all over the world. We're directing every non-Muslim to onereason.com. It's an iERA website, which is only catered to non-Muslims. So please, if you're a Muslim, don't go in there and ask questions. If it's only catered to the non-Muslims. If you have non-Muslim friends and they have questions about Islam and they want to get to know, please send them to onereason.com, whether it's your friends on WhatsApp or Facebook. Direct them there. Over there, we have a live chat going on with non-Muslims, and they can ask any questions about Islam, morality, the Prophet ﷺ, why the Quran is a book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So all of those major contentions, who created God, why there's problems of evil and suffering. So there's lots of that stuff going on. Plus, we're working towards doing some more webinars for the non-Muslims and the Muslims as well. So please stay tuned. Inshallah, we will continue working with the community, with the Muslim community, supporting the new Muslims and conveying the message to the non-Muslims. So Jazakallah khair, all of you, and hope to see you guys next week.
Barakallah feek. Assalamu alaikum. Jazakallah khair.
Jazakallah.